This story began in an academy far away in a game world where getting a reasonable profession was more important than anything else. On the day the students were to pick their careers after mastering all the classroom theory, a glowing transmutation circle lit up the assembly hall. Lu Yun, the academy's principal, a burly guy with an aggressive face and barbarian beard, told the students that today was the day they'd finally make their worthless lives meaningful by choosing a profession. Meanwhile, our MC Lin Moyu was tensed as he eyeballed the transmutation circle, praying to the game gods that he'd get a half-decent profession this time. After all, he'd been stuck in this world for years, grinding for nothing, not even a job title to show for it. In this world, everyone's a player, grinding in dungeons to level up, slay monsters, and get sweet experience points. The goal of the game was to bang a profession, preferably a good one. Combat classes were top tier, support classes were like your BFF healer, and then there were the basic ones, farmer, chef, and so on. But the holy grail of the game was the legendary professions, and nobody in the entire city had seen one of them for a decade. Just then, the decisive moment commenced. The transmutation circle activated, and the students started stepping up for their big profession reveal. Right then, some random dude named Goad Yang, who looked like he was kicked out of a wacky boy band, tried chatting Lin Moyu up, asking what profession he was gunning for. Lin Moyu, more concerned about making his miserable life worth something by getting a profession, shut the idiot down instantly, saying he wasn't in the mood to join a sing-along. That moment, Principal Lu Yun, alongside some ancient dude named Master Zhang, whose beard was longer than his lifespan, started calling students forward to step into the transmutation circle. First up, upon stepping into the circle, some poor loser got saddled with farming as his profession, which shocked the living daylight out of him. The second student's profession was revealed to be a chef. With this, Master Zhang started to worry that all the academy's students were just useless, worthless lowlifes with no chance of getting rare professions. Just then, the queen bee of the school, Xiaosu, stepped up to the circle. Xiaosu had the brains of Jimmy Neutron and was always the second-ranked best academic student in school behind Lin Moyu. They'd been rivals for years. As soon as she stepped into the circle, the sky lit up like it was on fire. Her profession was then revealed, an elemental mage, one of the rarest jobs. As expected, the students lost their minds cheering her, and even Master Zhang nodded his old scrawny head in approval and then congratulated her. Next in line was Lin Moyu. As he approached the transmutation circle, no one really expected much from the ugly, disgusting moron. He had the brains of Einstein but the social skills of a goat trying to code. Even old man Zhang figured he'd end up with some low-level profession like farming. But the moment Lin Moyu stepped into the circle, things got freaky fast. A massive windstorm kicked up, the clouds darkened, and everyone froze in fear. Then, they saw something moving in the clouds, skeletons. Freaking skeletons, which made everyone terrified. It was revealed that Lin Moyu had landed the Necromancer profession, a rare legendary class profession. After this, a sphere of mystic fire appeared on Lin Moyu's palm. Being a Necromancer meant Lin Moyu had unlocked a once-in-a-century legendary profession. On seeing this, the students were shocked that Lin Moyu, the school weirdo with zero social skills, had gotten a legendary role, but they didn't really see the appeal of a Necromancer. As Lin Moyu left the circle, Zhang called him back, asking him to show off his Necromancer skills. Lin Moyu then activated his summoning power, and a dark wind swirled around him as the mystic fire flared up. He instantly summoned an ancient undead skeleton warrior on the spot, freaking out everyone. Master Zhang, who was obviously terrified and almost shat his pants, blasted the skeleton warrior to pieces, causing the system menu to pop up and ask Lin Moyu whether he wanted the undead skeleton to attack or stay put. However, Lin Moyu chose to stand down and commanded the skeleton to stay put. After his demonstration, Lin Moyu bowed and left like a total Sigma. As he walked away, he thought about how, even with his basic skills, he could summon an ancient skeleton warrior. Once he leveled up, he'd wipe out dragons and become unstoppable. Just then, Xiaosu, the competitive weirdo, called out to him, wanting to compare exam results now that she'd clearly lost to him in the profession department.
Oh Lord. Again.
However, Lin Moyu ditched her ass, telling her he would respect her more if she were not always bitching over everything. Later that day, Lin Moyu was at home, staring at a family picture of him, his sister, and his grandma, realizing he'd been wearing the same shirt since birth. Then, there was a knock at the door, and when he opened it, He was surprised to see Lu Yun's traumatized, beaten-up face. Lu Yun, who had promised Lin Moyu's sister, Lin Mohan, that he'd look after her brother after she left the academy and got into one of the city's top colleges, handed him a bag of supplies. He then informed Lin Muyo to prepare for the novice leveling dungeon test the next day. After Lu Yun left, Lin Moyu was shocked as the appraisal system suddenly kicked in. It informed him that he had awakened God-level innate talent, boosting all his skills by 5 times. With this, Lin Moyu tested his abilities by summoning the skeleton warrior again, and then realized that all its attributes had also been multiplied 5 times over. With this kind of power, Lin Moyu knew he was now the strongest man alive. The following day, the students gathered at the dungeon for the novice leveling test. Boy Band Dude, as usual, brought his unwanted chatter and asked Lin Moyu to team up again. But once more, Lin Moyu shut the absolute menace down, saying he'd rather go solo. On hearing this, Lu Yun suggested Lin Moyu team up since his powers were still unknown. But the other students were too freaked out to team up with someone who summoned creepy skeletons for a living. However, Lin Moyu declined and told Lu Yun he preferred to solo the dungeon, since he didn't want anyone slowing him down. Lin Moyu was desperate to level up fast so he could join his sister at the prestigious Sijing Academy. Hearing this, Lu Yun yelled at the arrogant face, reminding him how tough it was to get into the academy. He'd need to hit level 12 or 15 before the final test. He also mentioned that Lin Moyu's sister had gotten into the academy at level 16, an almost impossible feat to surpass. Lin Moyu, hating the word impossible, confidently told Lu Yun he'd break his sister's record with the confidence of a billionaire. At that moment, a teleportation portal to the dungeon appeared, and the students began entering the dungeon. Once inside, Lin Moyu immediately summoned 4 undead skeleton warriors and sent them out to hunt down the dungeon monsters. His undead warriors launched an all-out assault on the dungeon demons, boosting Lin Moyu's experience points and quickly leveling him up. After an hour, Lin Moyu reached level 2, so he summoned 2 more undead warriors to boost his stats even faster. His skeletal army kept shredding through dungeon monsters, and at one point Lin Moyu spotted a gray demon cat hiding in the bushes. Deciding to test out his other powers, he cast his passive ability called Soul Blaze and electrocuted the cat, turning it to ash and leveling up again. With each new level, the number of skeleton warriors he could summon increased, so Lin Moyu summoned more. 4 hours later, Lin Moyu reached level 4, and then he started strategizing on how to take on even tougher missions once he hit level 8. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Lu Yun was chatting about Xisu's progress with her father, Shidanyang. Shidanyang was anxious for his daughter to reach level 5 so she could enroll in the prestigious academy, just like Lin Moyu's sister, Lin Mohan. Lu Yun reassured him that Xisu was too competitive for her own good, which might help her reach that goal easily. In the dungeon, Lin Moyu realized that his skeleton warriors could only move within a 500-meter range. Given how slow they were moving like NPCs in Grand Theft Auto, he knew it would be hard to clear the dungeon within the 12-hour test window. After hacking through a bunch of low-ranking monsters, Lin Moyu and his skeleton army finally reached the highest level of the dungeon, level 8. There, they encountered a massive bullwood tree that attacked anything living. Lin Moyu then ordered his undead skeletons to tear it apart, which they did swiftly. But as soon as it was destroyed, he saw over 100 more bullwood trees. Without hesitation, the XP addict commanded his skeletons to cut down every last one of them. After hours of slashing, Lin Moyu's experience points skyrocketed. Outside the dungeon, Lu Yun suddenly spotted a figure exiting the dungeon portal, which was strange since only someone who had cleared the dungeon, guarded by level 8 monsters, could get out. As the figure got closer, Lu Yun realized it was Lin Moyu, so he asked the wimp why the heck he was out so fast. Lin Moyu responded that he had wiped out all the spooky monsters inside the dungeon. On hearing this, the old geezer was shocked to the bones that not only had Lin Moyu isekai all the level 8 monsters, but he also reached a level 7 rank upon leaving the dungeon. After this, Lin Moyu then requested permission to take on more dungeons in the city to keep leveling up, and Lu Yun agreed, promising to get him a travel certificate for unrestricted movement in the city. Hours later, Xisu emerged from the portal, having reached level 5 as an elemental mage. With the satisfaction that she'd beaten her rival, she searched around for Lin Moyu but couldn't find him. However, when she spotted him sitting nearby, the tryhard diva nearly had a heart attack that he was already out of the dungeon, and what's worse, he had attained level 7. Just then, Shidan Yang, her father, who was waiting by the car, called for her, and she moved towards him. While inside the car, Shidan Yang noticed Siasu was sulking and visibly upset, so he asked what was bothering her. Siasu explained that after 3 years of competing with Lin Moyu, she still hadn't managed to beat the Jimp at anything. Shidan Yang then revealed that Lin Moyu had cleared all the level 8 monsters in just 10 hours, which left Siasu speechless. She didn't even see any level 8 monsters during her time in the dungeon. The next day, Lin Moyu arrived in the city, ready to take on any mission to help him level up. He quickly found a mission to defeat a king goblin and chose it. He then approached the security knight in charge of granting access to mission worlds, who allowed him entry but advised him to return if he encountered any danger. Venturing into the mission world, Lin Moyu soon faced the king goblin. He immediately summoned his undead skeleton warrior and ordered it to eliminate the goblin. As the ugly beast charged at him, the skeleton warrior intercepted and took it down, boosting Lin Moyu's level. However, an army of goblins quickly appeared, so Lin Moyu summoned an army of skeleton soldiers to deal with them. In the blink of an eye, the goblins were wiped out, and Lin Moyu kept leveling up, gaining massive experience points. At this rate, he knew he'd gain entry into the prestigious academy and reunite with his sister. After the battle, Lin Moyu reached level 10, and his skeleton warrior upgraded from iron to bronze, gaining an active rage skill. As he wandered the mission world, realizing he had cleared all the monsters, an arrow suddenly struck his shoulder. Staggering but regaining balance, he spotted a masked girl who immediately followed. Moments later, 2 random dudes, one holding a bow, approached him, asking if he'd seen someone wearing black. Realizing that the moronic psycho with the bow was likely the one who shot him, Lin Moyu demanded an apology. The blonde, disgusting psycho who looked like someone even God had been roasting then apologized but quickly noticed Lin Moyu's summoned skeleton warrior. Disgusted, he assumed only someone dabbling in dark magic would summon the undead and briefly considered attacking Lin Moyu. However, his ugly partner, with a striking resemblance to Stewie from Family Guy, held him back and then they left. By twilight, Lin Moyu realized that reaching level 11 might be impossible, even with his skeleton warriors endlessly slaughtering monsters like maniacs. If he was going to make it into the academy, he needed to work harder than anyone else. Just then, his thoughts drifted to his sister Lin Mohan, who had reached an impressive level 16 before her final test. He reasoned she must have teamed up with others to raid dungeons, something he had avoided so far. Determined, Lin Moyu resolved to stay on the mission ground all night and push himself until he leveled up in time for the final test. Suddenly, he heard footsteps rustling through the bushes. He turned and saw the mysterious masked girl from earlier sprinting toward him. Without hesitation, she asked if he had any food to spare. The ultimate simp in him couldn't resist, so he offered her his meat, which he gagged on like a starved hyena. After inhaling the food, she guzzled down the water like an industrial vacuum, leaving Lin Moyu horrified. After consuming like a deranged animal, the guzzletron thanked Lin Moyu, but he didn't respond, leaving her to wonder if he was deaf. Trying to change the awkward vibe, she suggested they analyze each other's system information. As they did, Lin Moyu realized he couldn't access her system details because of a blocking badge that only allowed people 10 levels above her to see her stats. Meanwhile, she easily accessed his system, discovering that Lin Moyu was a necromancer, a revelation that stunned her, as she had never heard of such a class. Shortly afterward, the disgusting glutton allowed Lin Moyu access to her system, and then Lin Moyu found out that her name was Ning Yi, and she was a level 19 shadow assassin. That moment, they suddenly sensed they weren't alone. Looking around, they saw the bumbling idiots from earlier approaching. Ning Yi immediately wanted to run, but the archer shot at her, barely missing. Lin Moyu quickly detected that the archer had used an invisibility spell, allowing him to mark targets and aim perfectly, a skill typically reserved for assassins. As the blonde Morin from earlier swaggered forward, he claimed that Ning Yi and Lin Moyu were working together, and for that reason, neither would leave live to see the next day. Ning Yi then tried to explain that Lin Moyu had nothing to do with her shenanigans, and even offered to return the skill scripture she had stolen. But the ugly-ass nitwits refused, determined to end both of their pathetic lives. Just then, Lin Moyu noticed the archer had already marked Ning Yi with the invisibility spell, making it nearly impossible for her to dodge the next shot. Meanwhile, the blonde brain-dead ass used an illumination spell, casting bright light to increase their attack range, and dispel the darkness around them. As the three fools prepared to launch their assault, Lin Moyu then summoned his hideous skeleton warrior. On seeing the sack of bones, they scoffed, thinking the useless, weak skeletons would be an easy target for fire magic. The blonde balloon head immediately summoned a massive fireball, while the archer, perched in a tree, fired 3 arrows imbued with mystic energy, at once like Chumong. With attacks coming from both directions, Ning Yi had no choice but to push Lin Moyu toward the fire while she braced for the arrows. But then, something unexpected happened. The skeleton warrior deflected both attacks with its ancient war sword, shocking the worthless delinquents. That instant, the blonde dipshit couldn't believe his attack failed, especially since he was a level 21 mage and Lin Moyu was just a level 10 necromancer. Before they could process their failure, they realized they were surrounded by an army of undead skeleton warriors, leaving the 3 dumbstruck morons frozen in terror. Desperate to defend himself, the blonde idiot conjured a magical barrier to prevent the undead skeletons from getting through. But to his core, the skeleton warriors relentlessly slashed at the barrier, eventually shattering it. Panicking, he summoned a whirlwind of flames to incinerate the undead, but the flames were completely useless against them, like my dad, who left to get milk but never returned. In the blink of an eye, one of the undead skeletons slashed the blonde doofus like cabbage, and the rest of his team scrambled to escape. In their bid to escape, they'd activated their extreme defense skill, which formed a barrier supposedly impervious to physical attacks. However, Lin Moyu wasn't fazed. He activated his Berserk Strike ability, empowering his undead army. The skeleton warriors began to glow with menacing red energy, and they intensified their attacks, slicing through the seemingly impenetrable barrier of the extreme defense. The barrier weakened and eventually dissipated under the relentless assault. Once inside, the skeletons annihilated the delinquents without hesitation. After the fight, Lin Moyu rummaged through their storage space, finding a bronze staff, a battle bow, a shield, and a sword, which he quickly added to his inventory. He also stumbled upon a beginner's scroll worth 10,000 gold coins. Tempted to sell it, he casually mentioned his plan to Ning Yi, who promptly called him brokey and suggested he keep it, explaining that the scroll contained valuable skills that could help him level up. Lin Moyu then asked her how he could use it, and the airhead started saying a bunch of nonsense, but Lin Moyu put 2 and 2 together and realized that he had to inject his spiritual energy to be able to use the scroll. Once he did, the system notified him that he had acquired the corpse burst skill, which would allow him to turn a corpse into a literal bomb. As they continued walking, Ning Yi complimented Lin Moyu on his voice, asking why he rarely spoke. Lin Moyu, feeling like his alpha voice might be rizzing her up, told her she was amazing, which excited her. In return, she gave him a gift box containing an intermediate skill scroll, capable of awakening skills between levels 40 and 70, worth 1,000,000 gold coins. Shortly afterward, Ning Yi thanked Lin Moyu for saving her life, and after that, the eternally starved girl once again begged for more food. Lin Moyu, who couldn't turn her down, then reluctantly handed her his fat, thick potato, which she shoved into her wet face hole. After that sus moment, Ning Yi rambled on about the prestigious Shanjing Academy after learning that Lin Moyu planned to attend. After an endless stream of nonsensical chatter, she finally fell asleep. The next morning, as soon as she woke up, the locust demanded more food. Lin Moyu, having nothing else left, gave her every last bit of his remaining potatoes. Once she drained him dry, she ditched him like a typical IG baddie, leaving him high and dry. After the walking stomach left, Lin Moyu decided to test out his newly acquired corpse burst skill on the useless thug's remains. Lin Moyu activated the corpse explosion skill, causing the knight's remains to detonate like an atomic bomb, creating a massive gaping hole in the ground. Satisfied, he made his way to the dungeon to further test his new skill and level up, summoning an undead skeleton warrior as a bodyguard. After several hours of walking, Lin Moyu finally reached the dungeon, where he encountered a group of other adventurers who were looking for a professional to complete their team. As he approached the entrance of the dungeon system prompted him to choose a difficulty level, normal, nightmare, or hellish mode. Without hesitation, Lin Moyu selected the nightmare mode, eager to face stronger elite monsters that would boost his experience. Just then, the worthless losers gathered outside the dungeon, and on seeing that Lin Moyu could summon dead warriors with menacing red eyes, began to ask him to team up with them. However, Lin Moyu declined to join their moronic group. That moment, a blinding flash of light emanated, and Lin Moyu was teleported inside the dungeon, leaving the pathetic weaklings stunned that he intended to solo the dungeon. Once inside, Lin Moyu was immediately hit by the strong smell of blood and then spotted a level 14 goblin mind guard with a strength of 800. He instantly summoned his army of undead skeleton warriors, who charged in and swiftly eliminated the goblin. With this, a system notification appeared. Lin Moyu gained a significant amount of experience, which made him realize that defeating one monster in the dungeon equated to taking down 10 in the outside world. A few seconds later, another horrendous-looking goblin charged at him, but it met the same fate, and at that moment, Lin Moyu leveled up to level 11. This new level unlocked the damage transfer ability, allowing any damage he took to be redirected to his summoned warriors, enhancing their combat skills and basic attributes. Suddenly, an eerie wind swept over him, like the Grim Reaper was breathing directly on his face. Without warning, a ferocious level 15 Mind Wolf King emerged from the shadows, boasting a strength of 2,000. Despite the monstrous Wolf King's intimidating power, Lin Moyu felt confident with his overwhelming army of undead, so he summoned his skeletal warriors and commanded them to attack. At that moment, the wolf roared defiantly, preparing to strike back. On hearing the powerful roar of the wolf, Lin Moyu abruptly boosted the abilities of his skeletons, causing them to glow with a menacing red light as they unleashed a flurry of attacks. Realizing it was outmatched, the wolf fled, returning with its entire pack to the fight. On seeing the pack of ferocious wolves, Lin Moyu's skeleton warriors quickly engaged the pack while Lin Moyu activated Corpse Explosion again, obliterating several wolves and racking up more experience points. The battle raged on until only the wolf leader remained. Just then, Lin Moyu's undead warriors converged on it, unleashing a final barrage that instantly obliterated the Calamity-ranked monster. With the Mind Wolf King defeated, Lin Moyu pressed deeper into the dungeon. As he ventured further, boss music began to play, and he soon found himself face-to-face with a level 16 Goblin King, an outrageous S-class monster unlike any he had encountered before. Before he could react, the heinous goblin blasted him with mystic energy, triggering his damage transfer ability and crushing 2 of his skeleton warriors' bones instantly. Realizing his own constitution and strength were lacking against the powerful Goblin King, Lin Moyu knew he needed a solid strategy. That moment, he thought fast and then decided to utilize the overwhelming numbers of his undead army to his advantage. Instantly, Lin Moyu summoned his undead army, and they swarmed the giant goblin, stabbing through its grotesque body. As the onslaught intensified, the hideous creature unleashed a shockwave, sending Lin Moyu's skeleton warriors tumbling away from its green, bulbous body. But that was just the beginning. The Goblin King belched forth a blazing inferno, incinerating a significant portion of the undead. Realizing he had to interrupt the goblin's powerful attacks before he became part of his undead skeletons, Lin Moyu quickly strategized. As the Goblin King continued its fiery assault on the skeletons, Lin Moyu launched Soul Flame directly at the disgusting fat-ass goblin's face, creating an opening for his undead warriors to impale every inch of the beast, obliterating it in an instant. After that intense battle, Lin Moyu instantly powered up to level 12, so he gathered the loot of the battle, but soon discovered the Goblin King core, valued at 10,000 gold. Satisfied with his haul, he decided to leave the dungeon. Emerging triumphantly, he noticed the stunned expressions of the other adventurers. They couldn't believe he had survived the dungeon alone. Shortly afterward, Lin Moyu took a rest under a tree. After the short rest, Lin Moyu returned to the dungeon 12 hours later. Upon arrival, he saw a crowd gathered at the entrance. Members of the Dynasty Guild, led by an ugly mofo with a crackus hairstyle, were blocking access to the dungeon, protecting their boss, who was attempting to clear it solo. When one frustrated adventurer protested the inability of his team to enter the dungeon, a member of the Dynasty Guild blasted him with a massive inferno, ending his worthless life in an instant. Curious, Lin Moyu approached to find out what was happening. A random adventurer informed him that the Dynasty Guild's boss was searching desperately for the Goblin King core, which appeared only once every 100 days. Lin Moyu, who was in possession of the Goblin core, then asked what it could be used for. The dude explained that the core could be crafted into a goblin ring, boosting the wearer's attributes by 10 and skill level by 1. With this information, Lin Moyu decided to approach the entrance of the dungeon despite warnings from the dude about the consequences of confronting the guild. Upon reaching the entrance, the big shot told the useless Dynasty Guild members to get the heck out of the way because he intended to enter. On seeing Lin Muyo, the crack-headed guild member laughed, questioning Lin Muyo if his brain had enough oxygen. After this, he checked Lin Muyo's stats, and after seeing Lin Muyo's low rank, he scoffed, asking if Lin Muyo had a death wish. But as he locked eyes with Lin Muyo, he felt an unexpected confidence radiating from him. The guild member then ordered Lin Muyo not to take another step forward, but Lin Muyo continued undeterred. Seeing his persistence, the orange-haired guild member commanded his allies to attack. In response, Lin Muyo summoned his undead skeleton warrior, who charged in, breaking through the shield of one of the strongest mages in the group. The guild mage then retaliated with a fire repulsion ring, sending the skeleton warrior backward, but Lin Muyo summoned more skeletons, who expertly parried incoming arrows fired by the guild's archers. At that moment, the guild members were taken aback by seeing that Lin Muyo could summon multiple skeleton warriors. Acknowledging him as a serious threat, the strongest mage among them unleashed a fire serpent dance aimed at Lin Muyo and his army. But the attack was useless. With determination, Lin Muyo and his legion of skeletons advanced toward the guild members, causing the second-in-command, with his ridiculous hairstyle, to nearly lose his composure at the sight of the overwhelming number of undead warriors closing in. As the army of the undead advanced toward the entrance, the Dynasty Guild members quickly formed a battle line, ready to clash with the skeletal warriors. Initially, the Dynasty Guild had the upper hand, feeling invincible as their healer mended the wounds of their knights and expert archers. However, Lin Muyo began using his soul flame to target the healers and archers, sparing only the less significant knights. With their support gone, the undead skeletons attacked as a relentless force, systematically eliminating the knights, leaving only the guild's strongest mage and the erratic second-in-command. Although the mage summoned a powerful barrier to protect himself from the undead, the determined skeletons shattered it, and Lin Muyo's soul flame extinguished his very essence. Witnessing his guildmates had been reduced to ashes like sushi on a grill, the second-in-command knew he was toast, and panic set in. In an instant, the undead skeletons attacked and eliminated him. Lin Muyo wasn't finished. He employed his corpse explosion technique, obliterating their remains and erasing them from existence entirely. Afterward, he teleported into the dungeon. An hour later, the Dynasty Guild boss, disappointed at not obtaining the Goblin King's core, emerged from the dungeon with his chick, only to realize that his entire team wasn't waiting for him outside. Confused, he sensed something had gone wrong. He wondered if his team had been attacked, but given the guild's strength, he found it unlikely. Deciding to investigate, he left the dungeon to search for his team elsewhere. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon hours later, Lin Muyo, along with his army of undead, launched another assault on the Goblin King and defeated him. This time, he gained valuable experience points and acquired the Goblin King's magic book, a key resource for expanding his magical knowledge. Before teleporting outside the dungeon, Lin Muyo had already reached level 13. Once outside, he resolved to return the next day to clear the dungeon again and level up even further. The following day, when Lin Muyo arrived back at the dungeon, he crossed paths with the complete drama queen Xiaosu, who was at level 10 and eager to join an adventurer's party to increase her rank. Shocked to see Lin Muyo, Xiaosu's overachieving nature flared up, and she immediately launched into a ridiculous rivalry with him. Ignoring the glory hog antics, Lin Muyo re-entered the dungeon and cleared it effortlessly, defeating the Goblin King like a pro. Afterward, he teleported outside to wait for the dungeon to reset. While he rested, Xiaosu approached him, curious about his level. When Lin Muyo revealed he was at level 14, the rivalry junkie was stunned, unable to fathom how the lame-ass had leveled up so quickly. Frustrated, she set off to find a party to help her catch up to him. Hours later, she returned, exhausted but now at level 12, still determined to clear the dungeon and close the gap between them. In the end, Xiaosu was disheartened by her slow progress, knowing she needed to reach level 15 if she had any hope of entering the Xiijing Academy. However, at her current pace, it seemed impossible. Offering some words of encouragement, Lin Muyo suggested she increase the dungeon's difficulty to nightmare mode to level up faster. But Xiaosu, endlessly complaining, insisted that no party wanted her on their team because she was utterly useless. After saying this, she fell into a spiral of depression. Seeing her sorry state, Lin Muyo finally took pity on Xiaosu and allowed her to join him. Overjoyed by this unexpected gesture, she eagerly followed him, and once inside the dungeon, Chita-su was terrified to discover that Lin Moyu had been tackling the nightmare difficulty level all along, though she tried to hide her fear. They soon encountered the goblins, but Lin Moyu's skeleton warriors swiftly wiped them out in a flash. Shortly after, they faced the formidable Wolf King, which Lin Moyu obliterated instantly using his corpse explosion technique. On seeing this, Chita-su's soul nearly left her body, having never seen someone so effortlessly eliminate such a high-level monster. Minutes later, they were faced with the worthless final boss, the King Goblin, and as usual, he was instantly obliterated like a piece of garbage. Just then, Lin Moyu leveled up to 15 and Chita-su to 12, which made her realize that it would be impossible to catch up with the Kikachad as the gap between them widened. After clearing the dungeon, they gathered the loot scattered around. Chita-su soon became concerned when she noticed that the Goblin King's staff wasn't among the dropped items. She insisted the staff was the best weapon for mages below level 20. In response, Lin Moyu told her he had bigger and longer staff for her to play with.
What do you mean by that?
As they finished collecting the loot, Lin Moyu realized he would need to clear the dungeon 5 more times to reach level 16. Kneeling before the defeated Goblin King, he remarked that the creature would have to suffer death 5 more times. Moved by this strange display of honor toward an enemy, Chita-su began to develop feelings for Lin Moyu, having never seen anyone apologize to a boss before defeating them. Throughout the day, Lin Moyu and Chita-su worked as a team, clearing the dungeon and vanquishing the Goblin King 5 more times. By the end of their run, Chita-su had reached level 14, while Lin Moyu leveled up to 16. Seeing how much progress she made by teaming up with Lin Moyu, instead of competing against him like a fool, Chita-su suggested that with his skill level, it wouldn't be unreasonable for him to aim for the provincial champion. She also stated that with his mighty abilities, he could even attend the prestigious Chuangshen Academy, where only the elites of the elite train, rather than settle with the Xijing Academy, which caters to regular elites. However, Lin Moyu was steadfast in his goal to attend Xijing Academy, as he wanted to reunite with his sister. Shortly after exiting the dungeon, Chita-su pointed out the presence of Gao Yan. Still stuck at level 11, Gao Yan had been pleading to join a party to clear the dungeon and level up, but no team had accepted his weak, pathetic act. Seeing this, Lin Moyu then had compassion for the lackey and invited him to join them. Meanwhile, back at the Dynasty Guild headquarters, a fat meathead was enraged with the Dynasty boss for sealing off the dungeon earlier, preventing others from entering while he raided it himself. The furious fathead then ordered the guild boss to refrain from raiding any dungeons for the time being, as the investigation into the mysterious disappearance of the entire team was still ongoing, and the powerful culprit remained unidentified. On the other hand, back at the dungeon, Lin Moyu and Chita-su approached Gao Yan, informing the pitiful loser that they would let him team up with them once the dungeon cooled down and reset. Chita-su reassured Gao Yan that with them he would reach level 12 in no time, allowing him to apply to an academy of his choice. Overjoyed by this news, Gao Yan's eyes lit up, and he thanked Lin Moyu and Chita-su profusely, bowing his head in gratitude. A few hours later, the trio entered the dungeon together. Gao Yan was both shocked and terrified when he realized that Lin Moyu and Chita-su had been clearing the dungeon with nightmare difficulty. In fear, the weak, talentless bullet loser then hid behind Chita-su, who wasn't much better off, leaving Lin Moyu to handle all the fighting and dungeon clearing, while they lagged behind, getting leveled up in the process. Before long, Lin Moyu obliterated the Goblin King for the 10th time, leaving Gao Yan stunned that the final boss could be annihilated as easily as his sickly chicken. Impressed by Lin Moyu's overwhelming power, Gao Yan, like a spineless coward, began begging to join Lin Moyu's squad permanently. On seeing the pathetic fool begged like a sissy, Chita-su was disgusted at his beta male behavior and wondered if he had no testosterone. A few days later at the academy, Lu Yun and a group of principals with horrendous faces gathered on the rooftop, eagerly awaiting the return of their top students who had gone to the dungeon to fight monsters and level up. Just then, among them, one of the ugly principals who had a proboscis monkey nose alerted them when the students started arriving. The first student to return was a level 12 swordsman from the school led by the long-nosed principal. Next was a level 13 emo-looking archer from the same academy, which made the principal overcompensating with his nose, boasting that his students had returned in one piece and with impressive levels. At that moment, Lu Yun, feeling slightly inferior, began to wonder where his students were or if they had been unalived by the dungeon's monsters. However, before he could finish his thoughts, Lin Moyu, Su, and Go Yan arrived at their own remarkable levels. Go Yan had reached level 12 as a knight. Su had advanced to level 15 as a mage, and Lin Moyu, now a level 16 necromancer, which left the rooftop principals utterly stunned. The following morning, the much-anticipated day of the entrance exam into the academy arrived. The trio then gathered at the school to take the bus that would transport them to Xiqing Academy. However, Go Yan suggested they use a teleportation stone to quickly reach the exam venue instead of taking the outdated bus. They agreed, and after using the stone, they were teleported to the exam site. Soon the final exam into the prestigious academy began with an announcement instructing the students to maintain silence throughout the exam or face disqualification. Just then, two dense brains ignored the warning, talked during the screening process, and were instantly disqualified, teleported out of the venue like the clowns they were. A few minutes later, the students were divided into different dungeons based on their professions and classes, with points assigned according to their difficulty and results. These points would determine which academy they could apply to. Afterward, the students lined up and were taken to their respective dungeons to clear. Lin Moyu was assigned to a summoner's dungeon, where several high-level summoner teachers of the academy watched his performance from the monitoring room. As he advanced deeper into the dungeon, Lin Moyu was suddenly confronted by a monster summoner. Without hesitation, he unleashed his soul flame and electrocuted the goddamn monster in mere seconds, leaving the high-level summoners watching on the surveillance screen in total shock. They had never seen a summoner defeat a monster so quickly. Shortly after, a random examiner named Ning Yi, with facial hair resembling that of a crazy gorilla, barged into the monitor room, demanding to watch Lin Moyu's performance firsthand. After only a few minutes of witnessing Lin Moyu's remarkable abilities, Ning Yi was impressed, so he ordered the other examiners to increase the difficulty to legendary status to further test Lin Moyu's strength. Back in Lin Moyu's dungeon, he encountered an old, hideous wolf beast man-mage, which he swiftly obliterated using his soul blaze technique. Impressed by the display, Ning Yi immediately instructed the examiners to proceed to the second round of exams. As the results of the first round were announced, Lin Moyu ranked first. Zhu Meidi, the dynasty guild boss, Zhu Meidi, came in second, and Su took third place. Zhu Meidi, confident that he would place first, was outraged to discover someone stronger than him took the first place. Moments later, the second round began, and the students were asked to choose their difficulty level. Determined to overtake Lin Moyu and claim the top spot, Zhu Meidi boldly selected the hellish difficulty. On the other hand, the examiners watched with keen interest, wondering what difficulty Lin Moyu would choose. As expected, Lin Moyu also opted for the hellish level, confirming their suspicions. As the second stage commenced, Lin Moyu faced a level 13 wolf beast man warrior with a formidable strength 500. However, to Lin Moyu, the monster was weak and posed no challenge. He swiftly summoned his skeleton warriors, and within 5 seconds, they pulverized the wolf beast man. Upon seeing this, the examiners, particularly the grisly Ning Yi, with his train-wreck-tastic face, were once again stunned, as they'd never seen anything like it in all their years of existence. After hours of battle, the second round concluded. Zhu Meidi, having successfully isekai all the monsters in his dungeon, was confident he had secured the top spot. However, his confidence was short-lived when the scoreboard revealed Lin Moyu in first place, once again leaving him in shock. Disheartened, Zhu Meidi watched as the other principals congratulated Lu Yun for his students' exceptional performance, especially Lin Moyu's. Shortly afterward, the third round began, and in this round, the students were tasked with facing boss-level monsters. After swiftly defeating the smaller monsters, Lin Moyu encountered the boss of the round, a wolf beastman captain. He summoned his skeleton warriors, who quickly engaged the boss in close rangda combat and annihilated it. At the end of the third round, Lin Moyu once again secured first place, Zhu Meidi came in second, and Su held third. The fourth round began immediately, and Zhu Meidi, still hopeful that he could overtake Lin Moyu, felt this was his moment to display his overpowering abilities. The students were informed that in this round, they would face 10 consecutive waves of monster attacks. The examiners, especially Ning Yi, were eager to see how Lin Moyu would handle this incredibly difficult stage, as they had expected him to panic under the pressure. As the fourth round began, the first wave of monsters appeared. So Lin Moyu calmly summoned 3 skeleton warriors, confident that this was more than enough to handle them. He then blasted the monsters with his soul flame, finishing them off instantly. Seeing this, the examiners were left in awe, as they hadn't realized Lin Moyu could summon more than one skeleton at a time. Quickly, their amazement turned to boredom as they saw how effortlessly Lin Moyu was handling the challenge. Realizing that the fourth round was a mere stroll for Lin Moyu, they shifted their focus to other students. In another dungeon, Chiasu was fiercely battling her monsters with unwavering determination, launching path after path of flames. She was intent on overcoming any obstacle in her way to secure her spot at Sijing Academy. Meanwhile, Yao Gang, who had already been eliminated from the test, boasted loudly about Lin Moyu being his brother after witnessing his incredible feats. When the fourth round ended, only 5 students remained out of the thousands who had started the test. The score was then announced, and unsurprisingly, Lin Moyu continued to dominate the scoreboard. Moments later, the announcer informed the remaining 5 students that the upcoming 5th and final round would be the determining factor for their admission into Sijing Academy. The rules of the 5th round were simple. The students would be teleported to a different dimension filled with all kinds of monsters, including elite and boss-level creatures. A few minutes later, the students were teleported into the dimension. Upon arrival, Lin Moyu immediately sensed a strange, foreboding presence, and the air was thick with killing intent. In the blink of an eye, a horde of level 15 monstrous lizardmen appeared, their war cries echoing through the area, summoning more monsters to join the fray. Without hesitation, Lin Moyu ordered his already summoned skeleton warriors to engage the lizardmen. They swiftly slashed through the monsters' bodies, and Lin Moyu followed up by unleashing his corpse explosion technique, obliterating the fallen lizardmen. Back in the monitor room, Lin Moyu's points skyrocketed, leaving the examiners dumbfounded by how quickly he accumulated them at the start of the 5th stage. Meanwhile, back in the dimension, more lizardmen arrived. Thinking quickly, Lin Moyu commanded his undead skeletons to surround the monsters and trap them in a confined area. Once they were cornered, he unleashed another corpse explosion, eradicating them in one fell swoop. This godlike maneuver sent Lin Moyu's points soaring into the thousands, leaving the chief examiner, Ning Yi, utterly speechless with his mouth agape, wondering what kind of phenomenon had just occurred. Just as Lin Moyu was about to press on into the dimension, he noticed that the lizardmen had prepared a devastating attack. The sky above darkened, and balls of fire began to rain down. Thinking fast, Lin Moyu used his skeleton warriors as shields, positioning them to block the incoming fireballs. At that moment, the lizard monsters in their numbers charged Lin Moyu and his army of undead warriors. On seeing this sudden attack, the skeleton warriors prepared themselves, and they soon began to clash swords with the lizard monsters. Lin Moyu used his corpse explosion ability to explode the corpse of the monster lizard. Back in the monitoring room, Lin Moyu's points surged dramatically with every passing second, leaving the circus freak examiners stunned. They began to suspect that Lin Moyu's power was beyond even legendary class, contemplating that even the might of the gods might not be able to withstand his abilities. In the dimension, after clearing the lizard monsters, Lin Moyu noticed a stronger, more pungent smell of death filling the air. Upon looking around, he realized the monsters he had just annihilated had come back to life. Only now they were 10 times stronger and accompanied by archers. Meanwhile, as the test for the students was ongoing inside the Xijing Tower, outside the Xijing Tower, demons from the abyss, who escaped from hell itself, had gathered. They prepared to invade the very dimension where the students were undergoing their tests. Sensing the impending invasion, Bai Yuan, a top expert at Sijing Academy, quickly assembled a team of elite students to fight back. On the other hand, inside the dimension, the lizard monsters that Lin Moyu and the others were fighting suddenly vanished. In that strange moment, Chiasu unexpectedly found herself near Lin Moyu, something that wasn't supposed to happen since the students had been separated across different parts of the dimension. Shortly after, Zhu Mei joined them. As the trio pondered what might be causing the sudden disruption in the dimension, Bai Yuan suddenly appeared to them in the sky and informed them that they were under attack by demons of the abyss who had infiltrated the dimension. He added that it would actually take an hour before the dimension was restored. He urged them that in that one long, dangerous hour, they needed to protect themselves and work as a team together with the other students of the school that had been gathered. Just after that inspiring speech by Bai Yuan, the students, upon hearing this information, began to wonder if they had heard it right. Just then, they noticed a blood moon from the abyss in the sky, and suddenly they spotted the demons from the abyss approaching in the dimension. a level 19 wolf beast from the abyss materialized from the bright light, and on seeing the lone wolf beast, the students felt confident that they had the numbers and could never be defeated by just one wolf beast. However, their confidence quickly faded when they noticed thousands of wolf beast demons emerging from the abyss, a sight that sent shivers down their spines. Sisu, utterly terrified, immediately hid behind Lin Moyu, who remained calm, watching the approaching army with steely resolve. The horde of wolf beast demons swiftly charged toward the students who, seeing the overwhelming numbers, were paralyzed by fear, resigning themselves to an inevitable doom. As panic spread, Lin Moyu advanced toward the wolf beasts with calm determination. His actions confused the students, who thought his senses must have evaporated to confront such a massive force alone. Sisu, equally terrified, screamed at Lin Moyu at the top of her lungs to retreat, warning him that this wasn't a scripted scene from a Hollywood heroic movie. However, Lin Moyu, the stubborn goat, ignored the useless, weak ass and continued to move towards the wolf beasts unfazed. Realizing they had no other option, the students hesitantly followed Lin Moyu, hoping that the moron had a plan. As they neared the wolf beasts, the demon god from the blood moon began taunting Lin Moyu, threatening to erase him from existence unless he submitted and became his servant in hell. The demon god then mistook Lin Moyu's silence for hesitation, thinking he was actually considering his offer. Little did the brain-dead demon god know that Lin Moyu was calculating the precise distance he needed to unleash his devastating corpse explosion. Once Lin Moyu reached the right spot, he halted and calmly summoned over 100 skeleton warriors. The skeletons charged the wolf beasts, tearing into them with relentless fury, while the students watched like they were watching a horror movie. For every wolf beast that fell, Lin Moyu's experience level surged, growing stronger by the second. Then, with a swift and lethal move, Lin Moyu activated his corpse explosion ability, wiping out the entire army of wolf beast demons in one cataclysmic blast. The battlefield fell silent as the stunned students widened their eyes in astonishment, realizing just how far beyond their comprehension of Lin Moyu's power truly was. Up in the blood moon, the demon god was furious. Seeing his wolf minions annihilated so effortlessly, he summoned an even greater horde from the abyss, determined to crush the students. Just then, Lin Moyu's skeleton warriors battled the new wave of wolf beasts, but at that moment, Lin Moyu's focus shifted. He realized that the real threat wasn't the disgusting minions, but the demon god himself, hiding within the blood moon. Without hesitation, Lin Moyu leaped into the air, ascending toward the moon with blazing speed. Upon reaching it, he unleashed his soul blaze technique, electrocuting the demon god with a powerful attack that dealt massive damage. Meanwhile, outside the dimension, the completely worthless Academy's authorities, including Bai Yiyuan, struggled to find a way into the abyss. The demon god had created a rift, severing the dimension from the tower and trapping them outside. But soon they noticed that the demon god's fold over the dimension was weakening, leaving them puzzled. Bai Yiyuan, perplexed, wondered what or who inside the dimension had the strength to challenge the demon god, a being of immense power. Back in the dimension, the demon god, enraged by Lin Moyu's lethal attack, issued a command to his wolf beasts to eliminate every student at once. As the wolf beasts charged Lin Moyu, who had just realized his corpse explosion ability had evolved to a new level of power, grinned. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Watching the horde approach, Lin Moyu knew this was the ideal moment to test the limits of his newly upgraded ability. As Lin Moyu advanced closer to the blood-red moon, the demon god's taunts continued, trying to break his resolve. But Lin Moyu remained unfazed, his mind focused. He devised a plan, deciding to use his newly upgraded corpse explosion on the demon god himself. With a single command, Lin Moyu ascended the corpse of a fallen wolf beast toward the blood moon. As the corpse reached its peak, hovering near the moon, Lin Moyu activated the corpse explosion. The body of the wolf beast turned into a devastating bomb, detonating with immense force. In an instant, the blood moon shattered into pieces, obliterated by the explosion, cementing the demon god defeat. With the destruction of the blood moon, the dimension was immediately restored to normal. With this, Bai Yiyuan and the Academy authorities, who had been anxiously monitoring the situation from outside, quickly teleported all the students out of the dimension, ensuring their safety. Hours after the chaotic fifth test concluded, Ning Yi stood before the students and announced the final results. To everyone's amazement, Lin Moyu scored the highest points ever recorded in the history of the test. becoming the undisputed champion of the entire country. Lu Yun, who had been anxious and traumatized by the events, was suddenly overjoyed that his student had triumphed. His scarecrow face lit up with pride as he realized Lin Moyu had not only excelled but also made history. Later on, Chiasu approached Lin Moyu to congratulate him, and to her shock, Lin Moyu smiled at her in an attempt to come off as a cool dude, which shocked Chiasu because all this time, she had thought his mighty abilities would have repaired his disgusting face.
That one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
The next moment, Chiasu was announced as the second-place finisher, and this only added to Lu Yun's pride as two of his students had secured the top 2 spots in the nation. Zhu Mei, however, fared poorly in the results, and his low ranking on the test sent him into a fit of rage. Furious that he wouldn't be accepted into Xijing Academy, he began to berate the examiners, calling them a bunch of old ugly fools with shells for brains. This outburst led to his immediate expulsion from the academy, and he was teleported away, leaving behind a scene of stunned students. News spread quickly outside the tower that Lin Moyu had emerged as the champion of the entire country. Students from his school and province were ecstatic, celebrating the fact that their school had, for the first time, produced the top student in the nation. Later that night, after the excitement had settled, Lin Moyu found himself alone in his room, gazing at a family portrait of himself, his sister Lin Mohan, and their grandmother. As he reflected on his journey, there was a knock on the door. When Lin Moyu opened it, he was greeted by Lu Yun and a strange, hideous figure. Startled, Lin Moyu instinctively summoned his undead skeleton warriors, ready for a fight. But he quickly stood down when he realized that the hideous figure was none other than the scary douchebag, Bai Yiyuan. Relieved, Lin Moyu bowed respectfully and greeted both men, his thoughts racing, unsure of why they had come to see him. Few minutes later, as Lin Moyu, Bai Yiyuan, and Lu Yun sat together, Bai Yiyuan took a moment to closely examine Lin Moyu. He scanned his attributes, which appeared surprisingly low for someone who had performed so impressively in the dimension. Curious, Bai Yiyuan asked how Lin Moyu managed such incredible feats despite his low stats. Lin Moyu then explained that although he was a weak, talentless loser with very low basic stats, he possessed a rare innate talent that allowed him to greatly enhance his skills. This unique ability had been the key to his success. Impressed but still intrigued, Bai Yiyuan informed Lin Moyu that he had come not only to congratulate him but also to present him with rewards for becoming the champion of the entire city. Additionally, Bai Yiyuan was there to personally escort Lin Moyu to the prestigious Xijing Academy. He also mentioned a significant trial that would take place at the academy in 2 days and extended an invitation for Lin Moyu to participate. When Lin Moyu pressed for more details about the trial, Bai Yiyuan cryptically refused to disclose anything unless Lin Moyu accepted the invitation. So Lin Moyu agreed. With that settled, Bai Yiyuan handed over the gifts he had brought, skill scrolls and additional points. Bai Yiyuan emphasized that the points were more valuable than money in the academy, as they could be used to boost power and abilities. Following this, Bai Yiyuan teleported Lin Moyu to the Xijing Academy and entrusted him to the care of the dormitory's caretaker, who had a similar appearance to the banjo player from Deliverance. Seeing Bai Yiyuan personally escorting Lin Moyu made the caretaker assume he must be an important figure. The caretaker then gave Lin Moyu a tour of the available dormitory rooms in the academy, explaining that the quality and luxury of the rooms depended on the number of points a student had. Lin Moyu, unconcerned about the cost, opted for a luxurious single room, which shocked the caretaker. Upon checking Lin Moyu's point balance, the caretaker was even more stunned. He had never seen someone with such an enormous amount of points. The next morning, Lin Moyu was woken by a knock on his door. When he opened it, he found Ning Yi standing there, much to his surprise. Without giving him a chance to react, she dragged him off to the cafeteria for breakfast. During the meal, Ning Yi was taken aback when she saw Lin Moyu casually spending his points as if his name were on the Forbes list. She quickly advised him to be more cautious and suggested he use regular money instead of points, which were much more valuable in the academy for power-ups and leveling. After breakfast, Ning Yi gave Lin Moyu a tour of the academy. As they walked, the Symphonist was entranced by how bubblist her boobage was, so he instantly activated Synth mode and gifted her the precious crystal core he got from the Goblin King while raiding the dungeon. On receiving the gift, Ning Yi was surprised and grateful, explaining that the core was worth a fortune, around 100,000 gold. Later that day, Ning Yi took Lin Moyu to the Academic Affairs Department to register. While there, Lin Moyu decided to search for information about his sister, Lin Mohan, only to discover that there was no record of her in the academy's system. Sensing his desperation, Ning Yi offered comforting words, suggesting that his sister might have enrolled in one of the elite academies, which could explain her absence from the records. Afterward, Ning Yi mentioned that she had a mission to complete and needed Lin Moyu's help. She then took him to meet the other members of her mission team. Upon arriving at the class, Lin Moyu was introduced to a girl named Jiang Tao, a level 23 knight. Lin Moyu introduced himself as a level 17 necromancer, but just then, an ugly weirdo named Ling Zhen, who was sitting nearby, scoffed at Lin Moyu, thinking he must be a talentless loser for being so lean like a toothpick. Ling Zhen immediately dismissed Lin Moyu as a worthless loser, and then scolded Ning Yi for bringing someone so useless and weak to join the mission. However, Ning Yi quickly silenced the fool, telling him bluntly that Lin Moyu was the champion of the country and deserved respect. After hearing that, Ling Zhen stepped closer to Lin Moyu and warned him not to think too highly of himself, just because Bai Yuan had personally escorted him to the academy. Ling Zhen's harsh and condescending tone irritated Lin Moyu, who retorted by telling him to shove his big empty head up his ass. Furious, Ling Zhen prepared to unleash fire, ready to burn Lin Moyu, but Jiang Tao swiftly created a shield between the two and ordered Ling Zhen to stop the moronic behavior. After this, Jiang Tao apologized to Lin Moyu and reminded the group that the mission would take place the next day. Following this, Lin Moyu and Ning Yi headed back to his place, where she bid him farewell. Later that night, Lin Moyu took out the beginner scroll he had received from Bai Yuan and activated its hidden power. In that moment, he gained a new ability called the Slow Curse, which allows the user to reduce an opponent's speed for 1 minute. However, thanks to Lin Moyu's innate talent for enhancing abilities, the curse's duration extended to 10 minutes. The next day, Ning Yi arrived to pick up Lin Moyu for the mission. When they met the rest of the team, each member introduced themselves to him. First was Yu, a level 20 sage, followed by Go, a level 20 priest. Then came the salty hot mess Ling Zhen, who was a level 21 warlock, and finally, Jiang Tao, the level 23 spirit knight and leader of the squad. After the introductions, they were teleported to the mission site. In an instant, they found themselves on Mermaid Island. Jiang Tao, the squad leader, instructed Lin Moyu to touch the mission stone, which would reveal their objective. As Lin Moyu touched the stone, they learned that their mission was to obtain the mermaid tear. Jiang Tao then explained that the mermaid tear was located at the center of the island. She also warned the group that they weren't the only ones searching for it, as only 3 mermaid tears are produced each year, attracting teams from academies worldwide. Additionally, she cautioned them to stay alert, as students had been eliminated in previous missions like this. As the team prepared to begin their search for the mermaid tear, the squad's priest, Go, was asked to use his ability to amplify the team's powers, which he did, strengthening everyone. Noticing how effective Go's ability was, Lin Moyu asked him to amplify the strength of his summoned skeleton warrior. However, after some effort, Go realized that he was unable to boost the abilities of the skeleton warriors. At that moment, Ling Zhen mocked Lin Moyu, saying that his skeleton warriors were as worthless as his pathetic face, making Lin Moyu furious. But Jiang Tao shouted at Ling Zhen to stop and focus on the mission. She then informed the team that it was time to enter the island, and they all sprinted toward it. Upon reaching the sea that separated the land from the island, they encountered a level 19 monstrous merman soldier. In an instant, Ning Yi and Jiang Tao took it down with a single strike. However, they soon realized that the entrance to the island was blocked by level 21 monsters, which would slow them down. Yu quickly unleashed a giant water whirlwind that swept the monsters away. A few minutes later, they saw the island was teeming with level 22 merman monsters, making it difficult to advance because of their overwhelming numbers. Lin Moyu suggested he use his skeleton warriors to lure the monsters away, allowing the team to pass through. Hearing this, Ling Zhen taunted him again, calling him a useless level 17 newbie who was no help to the team and should stay out of the way. But Lin Moyu ignored the salty remarks and summoned his skeleton warriors, successfully luring the monsters away and creating an opening for the team. After this clever plan worked, Jiang Tao thanked Lin Moyu on behalf of the group for helping them get closer to the mermaid tier. Soon after, as they reached the island, MILLIONSof spotted a horde of blobfish-faced monsters charging at them. They realized they were under attack from a rival squad from another country, called Shikigami, who were also after the mermaid tier. At that moment, one of the enemy summoners flew past them, mocking that they would never reach the tier. Moyu, undeterred, summoned his skeleton warriors again to lure the attacking monsters away, allowing the team to slip through. The team then praised him for his quick thinking, while the rival summoner wondered how they had managed to bypass the monster horde. Realizing this, the Shikigami summoner instructed her archers, positioned atop the mountain, to prepare to fire. Moments later, the archers unleashed a volley of arrows toward Moyu and his squad. The team's mages quickly erected a shield to protect everyone, while Moyu summoned his skeleton warriors to shield himself and Ning Yi from the incoming arrows. After this attack, Ling Zhen, who had been secretly jelly all along and could no longer hide his frustration at how useful Moyu had become to the team, approached Jiang Tao Tao. He had announced that he wanted to quit the group, demanding that Jiang Tao Tao choose between him and Moyu. In his arrogance, Ling Zhen believed Jiang Tao Tao would side with him and send Moyu away. But to his utter shock, Jiang Tao Tao calmly told him he was off the team instead. Hearing those words, Ling Zhen felt like he'd been slapped harder than an alarm clock on a Monday morning. He couldn't believe Jiang Tao Tao would let him go so easily because of. Furious, he threatened her, claiming that without him, the team would fail miserably and never secure the mermaid tier, making it impossible for them to get into Chongshen Academy, which was their ultimate goal. After delivering his cocky, brainless threat, he stormed off. Once the arrogant fool left, Moyu encouraged the team to enter the dungeon within the island and retrieve the mermaid tier. Although everyone was initially skeptical and felt it would be impossible to enter the dungeon with the powerful Shikigami summoner and her squad guardian, they ultimately followed Moyu's lead after Ning Yi reassured them. When they reached the dungeon entrance, they encountered the Shikigami team, who charged at them immediately. The Shikigami summoner, wielding the power to summon ancient gods, called forth her deities. In response, Moyu summoned his unstoppable undead army of skeletons, which overwhelmed the Shikigami squad. Upon seeing this, everyone was stunned that Moyu could summon such a massive force of skeleton warriors. After an intense battle that saw both sides darting around like Spider-Man, Moyu and his team finally managed to gain entry to the deeper part of the island's dungeon. As they advanced, they noticed that with every Shikigami squad and ancient god the skeleton warriors defeated, the team gained valuable experience points. Soon after, they reached the final area of the dungeon, preparing to face the mini-boss. Jiang Tao Tao found it hard to believe how smoothly the team had cleared the dungeon, as this was the first time she hadn't needed to do much as the team leader. As they neared the end of the dungeon, they encountered the dungeon's sacred pet, and a late-level 23 boss snake, the pet of the mermaid queen. This powerful creature loomed before them, and Jiang Tao Tao briefly considered going solo. But Moyu quickly told her to chill. He had it under control. Without hesitation, Moyu summoned his battalion of undead skeleton warriors, who launched themselves at the monstrous snake, stabbing through its slimy body. However, Moyu soon realized the snake was too fast and slippery for his skeleton warriors to land effective blows. For the first time, he used his slow curse ability, binding the snake with magical chains and reducing its speed, giving the skeleton warriors the upper hand. They continued slashing and stabbing at the snake's vulnerable body. Desperate, the snake spewed poisonous venom, but the undead warriors were unaffected and kept attacking until they finally impaled its mouth, completely obliterating the creature. After witnessing Moyu's incredible display of power firsthand, Ning Yi and MILLIONSof couldn't help but gaze at him, wondering what else he could do with his abilities.
What do you mean by that?
Just then, Jiang Tao Tao quickly snapped the two thirsty girls back to reality, reminding them they needed to keep moving if they wanted to get the mermaid tier. As they ventured deeper into the dungeon, they soon stumbled upon the city of mermaids, which was heavily guarded by elite merman monsters. Seeing the formidable foes, Moyu thought it was a perfect opportunity to rack up some experience points. Without hesitation, he launched an attack, summoning his legion of undead warriors, who charged at the merman monsters. To finish the assault, Moyu used his corpse explosion technique, blasting the ugly creatures into pieces with an ear-splitting explosion that nearly burst the team's eardrums. Surprisingly, as the monsters were destroyed, the team gained massive amounts of experience points from each defeated enemy. Shortly after the attack, the door to the mermaid palace opened, revealing the hot mermaid queen with her banging body. On seeing the hotness, the entire team was entranced and thought they were in love until the top gi Lin Moyu, who didn't give two shits about the bit, informed the team that they weren't in love. They were just enchanted, causing the entire team to snap out of the hypnotic spell. Realizing her enchantment had been broken, the mermaid queen's expression turned ruthless, her eyes glowing with a menacing red hue. Without wasting any time, she unleashed one of her unique abilities, the Scream of Sorrow, a devastating surge that crippled 30% of Lin Moyu's summoned skeletons. Sensing that the skeleton army was dwindling, the team decided it was time to finally contribute and fight back. However, Lin Moyu told them to hold off and remain on standby. He then cast a curse spell that restrained the mermaid queen in magical chains. In mere seconds, the mermaid queen broke free and retaliated by summoning massive tsunami waves that wiped out another 40% of Lin Moyu's undead warriors, leaving only 30% standing. At this point, the team was determined to be useful, but once again, Lin Moyu told them to stay put as he raised even more skeleton warriors. With his endless summons, the team watched in awe, their eyes wide open as they witnessed Lin Moyu command an entire army of undead. This time, the overwhelming number of skeletons began to overpower the mermaid queen. Refusing to surrender, she unleashed another one of her boss-level psychic abilities, the Queen's Lament, which sent a massive wave of water crashing into the skeletons. However, the resilient skeletons were unharmed and continued to deal significant damage to the queen, attacking from every angle and ultimately obliterating her completely. With the evil mermaid queen defeated, the mission was a success. The team secured the mermaid tear and was rewarded with a surge of experience points. As they celebrated the victory, Lin Moyu casually asked Ning Yi for the cooldown talisman to reset the dungeon, leaving the rest of the team completely stunned. A few minutes later, the team was teleported outside the dungeon. Seeing them exit the dungeon so quickly, the other squads from various countries assumed Lin Moyu's team had fled in fear, likely without even encountering the mermaid queen, let alone obtaining the mermaid tear. To their astonishment, Ning Yi pulled out the cooldown talisman and activated it, resetting the dungeon back to the beginning. With this, she and Lin Moyu teleported back into the dungeon to clear it a second time, aiming to secure all 3 mermaid tears by completing the dungeon thrice. This time around, Lin Moyu summoned his army of undead warriors, and they swiftly annihilated the merman monsters faster than a breeze. In mere seconds, the duo faced the mermaid queen's pet snake, which Lin Moyu eliminated in an instant, earning more experience points. Seeing how overwhelmingly powerful Lin Moyu was, Ning Yi couldn't help but think he was a cheat code in the world, and she began to feel his ultimate risk. Moments later, they reached the mermaid queen's palace, and the merman guards around the palace were obliterated by lightning speed. When the mermaid queen appeared, Lin Moyu wasted no time, immediately restraining her with his cursed skill and following up with a devastating corpse explosion, swiftly defeating her. After completing the second run, Lin Moyu and Ning Yi collected the mermaid tier, leveled up, and gained more experience points, leaving Ning Yi overjoyed. Shortly after, they emerged from the dungeon once again, which made the clueless other squads assume they were wasting the cooldown talisman without accomplishing anything. Without hesitation, Ning Yi activated the talisman for the 3rd time, resetting the dungeon, and the duo teleported back inside. This time, Ning Yi decided to set a timer to see how quickly they could complete the mission. Instantly, the task began, and Lin Moyu's undead army cleared the dungeon in record time. Within minutes, they were back outside, much to the amusement of the other teams, who still saw them as a joke. On seeing them outside, the team leader, Jian Tao Tao, inquired from Ning Yi how the mission went, and she revealed to her that the mission was gutsy. At that moment, the dungeon started to disappear, shocking the other teams. They quickly realized that the dungeon only vanishes once all 3 mermaid tiers have been collected. The moronic teams finally pieced it together. The rapid in-and-out dungeon runs by Lin Moyu and Ning Yi meant they had successfully cleared the dungeon multiple times and collected the mermaid tiers. Just as Lin Moyu and his squad prepared to leave after their impressive feat, the other teams, feeling deceived and outraged, suddenly charged for attacking them. The Shikigami summoner summoned ancient gods to launch an assault on Lin Moyu and the team. But without missing a beat, Lin Moyu unleashed his powerful soul flame, which completely incinerated the souls of the summoned gods. However, the Shikigami summoner didn't give up so easily. Desperate, he activated his divine summoning card, bringing forth a horde of ancient monster gods. These godlike beings launched a powerful aerial assault, charging straight at Lin Moyu. But just then, Lin Moyu raised his undead army to counter the attack. To the surprise of the ancient summoned gods, the skeleton warriors matched their power. With a powerful backlash from the wind of their swords, the summoned gods were completely obliterated. Seeing this, Lin Moyu was shocked at how weak these supposedly powerful summoned gods were. Meanwhile, the Shikigami summoner, affected by the defeat of his gods, coughed up blood as the backlash hit him. Without hesitation, Lin Moyu ordered his undead army to attack the summoner directly. The skeletal warriors rushed at the Shikigami summoner, eliminating him instantly. Seeing their summoner defeated so swiftly, the remaining members of the Shikigami team panicked and ran for their lives faster than their feet could carry them. Meanwhile, Ling Zhen, still furious and bitter that the team succeeded without him, spied on them from the bushes. He swore to take revenge on Lin Moyu, blaming him for missing out on the spoils of the dungeon. On the other hand, the team was still in a celebratory mood after successfully completing their mission. They handed over the acquired mermaid tear and teleported out of the island. Upon returning to the academy, Zhang Toutao thanked Lin Moyu for helping her, and the team accomplished the mission. Before she could finish her appreciation speech, Lin Moyu's bracelet began to beep. Checking it, he saw a message from Bai Yiyuan, requesting him to come to the academic affairs office. Shortly afterward, Lin Moyu arrived at the office to meet Bai Yiyuan. Upon seeing him, Bai Yiyuan congratulated Lin Moyu on successfully completing his mission. Feeling generous, he asked Lin Moyu if he had a wish that could be granted. Lin Moyu, thinking deeply, remembered his sister, who had evaded him for so long and whose information he couldn't find in the school's administrative office. He then asked Bai Yiyuan to help him find his sister. Bai Yiyuan smiled, saying he had expected that request, but unfortunately, he could only reveal a few things. He told Lin Moyu that his sister had joined the Chuangshen Academy, the elite of the elites, and that students from this academy had their information strictly confidential. With this, Lin Moyu realized that to find his sister, he would have to join the prestigious Chuangshen Academy. Since Bai Yiyuan couldn't provide detailed information about his sister, he told Lin Moyu that he could ask for another wish. Lin Moyu then asked for a cooldown talisman, hoping to reset dungeons and level up quickly so he could qualify for the Chuangshen Academy. The scummy white-haired crack, with a sly grin, told him that the cooldown amulet was no easy reward. Just passing one trial wasn't enough to earn it. He proposed that Lin Moyu complete another task for him before he could receive the talisman. However, Bai Yiyuan warned that this task could not be attempted until Lin Moyu reached level 20. He then handed Lin Moyu a teleportation stone and suggested that he use it to fast-track his leveling by heading to the Academy's dungeon hall, where he could gain experience quickly. Wasting no time, Lin Moyu, eager to level up and join the elite academy, grabbed the teleportation stone and activated it immediately. He soon arrived at the Academy's instant dungeon, a massive hall filled with students of all levels, each looking for teammates to help clear dungeons. Shortly after arriving at the Academy dungeon hall, Lin Moyu received a message on his bracelet from Bai Yiyuan informing him of the requirements to enter the elite academy where his sister was enrolled. To be eligible, Lin Moyu needed to surpass level 30 and accumulate 1,000 contribution points. Confused about what contribution points were and how to acquire them, Lin Moyu began to wonder about his next steps. At that moment, a blonde girl with an enormous head approached him. Introducing herself as Shu Hans, she remarked that she had been watching him wander aimlessly through the dungeon hall like a clueless moron and offered to give him a tour of how things worked, for a fee of 100 points. Lin Moyu, eager to learn more, transferred the points to her. Shu Hans explained the various types of dungeons available and the levels required to clear each one. She also informed him about the reward system for setting new dungeon records, where the fastest clear times would be rewarded with valuable gifts. Still curious about contribution points, Lin Moyu asked her how to earn them. Shu Hans explained that contribution points were awarded for completing daily tasks assigned by the academy, but earning them was more difficult than it sounded. The points per task were meager, and as soon as tasks were posted, they were snapped up by other students. Armed with this knowledge, Lin Moyu thanked Shu Hans and moved toward the first dungeon within his level Ronge, the mutated forest, for levels 15 to 19. Determined to break the record, Lin Moyu placed his hand on the orb and was teleported into the dungeon. He was immediately confronted by a mutated bear but left his skeleton warriors to handle it, saving time by heading straight for the final boss. That moment, he found the boss in a lake, which was a level 19 monstrous mutated tortoise, so Lin Moyu ordered his skeletons to attack, but their efforts were useless. The tortoise's shell was stronger than stone and impenetrable. Without wasting any time, Lin Moyu unleashed his soul flame ability, burning the tortoise's soul and obliterating the boss instantly. As the boss's soul drifted to nirvana, Lin Moyu leveled up to 18 and received a notification of his record-breaking achievement. Back in the dungeon hall, the giant bell rang for the first time in 3 years, alerting everyone that a new record had been set. Students were left in awe, wondering who the Sigma was that could accomplish such a feat. Lin Moyu then teleported back outside the mutated forest dungeon, earning 1,000 points and 5 contribution points as his reward for setting a new record. Next, Lin Moyu attempted to enter the spider nest dungeon, but realized he needed to be level 20 to access it. With this, he had no choice but to return to the mutated forest, and as he walked back, all the students were in awe of his 1 million aura at soloing a dungeon at nightmare level, breaking the record, and setting a new one. On getting to the mutated forest entrance, he teleported inside, cleared the dungeon faster than Flash and exited, setting a new record and leveling up enough to advance to the next dungeon. Will Lin Moyu continue to dominate the dungeons, level up, and accumulate enough contribution points to enter the Elite Academy and reunite with his sister? Comment Soul Flame if you're eager to find out in our part 2. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.